Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He's Mike McDaniel. Mike, welcome back. Been a week or so. How was Christmas? How you doing?
Christmas was good. Busy, as it always is, but it was good.
Yep. Good. Glad
How
to
was
hear
your
it.
Christmas?
We had a great Christmas as well. Yeah, it was good. Busy. A lot of time with family, but it was good. As you could hope for. So. Hope everyone out there had a good Christmas, is having a good Hanukkah. I think that's still going on. Had a good Kwanzaa or Festivus, whatever you celebrate around this time of year. Hope you're having a good one. We got some games. We got to recap some bowl games. We got to recap. We got some bowl games to preview coming up in less than 24 hours. So we are live here, youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. It is a few minutes after 11 o'clock Eastern here, Monday, December the 30th. I'm just going to go out on a limb, Mike. I'm going to say this is the last show that we are going to do in the calendar year of 2024. So it's been a great year. Appreciate the folks for sticking with us.
It is definitely the last one we are going to do in the next 24 hours.
There you go. I don't have a whole lot before we start digging into these games. Do we want to do a rapid recap? Is there anything you want to hit on before we start digging in here? How do we want to play this?
We have enough games to do a rapid recap.
I think so.
You want to?
10 minutes is probably enough. Maybe too much, but we just go 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
I'm not
so
ready.
you just want to make stuff
sorry.
up and surprise our producer?
Yeah. I mean, we texted him like 20 minutes ago. We're like, hey, you want to do the podcast? And he said, let me jump off the Peloton.
Yep. I'm ready.
Should we try to do this faster in 10 minutes? Which is a question I'm always eager to answer from my wife.
8 minutes. Go.
8 minutes. That's plenty of time. Oh,
You started.
Okay.
Here we
go. Nice. I'll get this going. Toledo 48, Pitt 46 in overtime. Pat Narduzzi, big idiot. This was in a couple overtimes, actually.
6 of them.
Yeah,
in fact.
just a few.
Look, for as much as we don't care about bowl games, you can still very much make an ass of yourself trying to coach a bowl game, and that's exactly what happened here on kind of multiple levels if you're Pitt.
Basically, here, this is the advice I would give Pat Narduzzi. If you're going into an overtime period where you're going to have to use a 2-point conversion anyway, and you're gifted, essentially the ball on the doorstep, just go ahead and go for 2. I mean, you're coaching this like you're playing for the national title game. You're in the GameAbove Sports Bowl. For the love of God, go for 2.
Yeah. I know everyone is trying to spend as much time as possible in Detroit in late December, but it's okay to cut that visit, 20 minutes short of that. It's okay. Yeah,
the Oasis,
that's right.
That is Detroit.
Yeah, a couple of things to talk about there. We'll get further into that game when we get done here.
I'm just mesmerized that Pitt scored as many points as they did without any sort of passing game. It was remarkable to watch.
Yeah, there were multiple layers to all of that. Yep.
Yeah, they went full Michigan in the passing game. Syracuse, let's go to next night. Syracuse 52, Washington State 35. A banger of a first half, and then Syracuse just kind of made some plays late in the second quarter and then started to pull away in the second half. Syracuse was the better team for most of this, but it was an interesting start to the game. A lot of points. A lot of points here. A lot of points.
Yeah, for a Wazoo team that, again, was without their head coach, both coordinators, quarterback. I mean, it was a real, mercenary squad out there for this Wazoo team, and they hung in for a half against Syracuse, which was kind of impressive. But, yeah, Syracuse kind of just sat on them in the second half, and, there was a late score from Wazoo that, depending on the number you got, was significant to some, we'll say.
Yeah, for sure. 56 total points scored in the first half. Just a barn burner in the first half, especially. Defense has played a lot better in the second half, but good showing from Syracuse. McCord played great.
Yep. Syracuse, it's really nice that somebody got a win on the board for the ACC here in the postseason, because Syracuse stands alone in that category right now.
We'll get into that more here in a few minutes. Vanderbilt 35, Georgia Tech 27 in the Birmingham Bowl. Georgia Tech got Pavia'd and they got officialed.
Yeah. I don't know necessarily in that order either. I mean, Pavia was good. Vandy played well. Georgia, I mean, this was a 1-point game midway through the third quarter, and then there were a couple of officiating calls that Georgia Tech just like completely lost composure, and there were a couple of bad turnovers Vandy got some cheap points off of, and I mean, Georgia Tech kind of dug themselves a hole in the third quarter they just couldn't quite dig out of here. So, I mean, in a lot of respects, this was a very competitive game. I think these were two relatively evenly matched teams, and you saw it ends up being a one-score game. But the game script here was impacted by the officials, and we can kind of dig in some details there and all that. But it was frustrating, and again, it really sucks feeling like this is the second loss in a row for Georgia Tech against an SEC team where the officiating had a significant impact on said loss. So tough to sit with.
Georgia Tech's one of the only teams in the country who deals with bad officiating. UConn 27, North Carolina 14. Right. That was a good joke. I didn't want to get that in there. I wanted to slide that in. UConn 27, North Carolina 14. We just talked about a game that was competitive. This one was not. North Carolina just basically they were just trying to field a roster. Like if you were available, a warm body, you were thrown into this football game. UConn had a very good year, and they closed it out with their first 9-win season since 2007. This was fantastic from UConn, but North Carolina, it wasn't even a fair fight here. I mean, nobody was playing here. Nobody.
This was a total survival mission for UNC. I mean, and it wasn't good to start, and then Jacoby Criswell went out, and it got worse. So, this was just a completion exercise. Just get to the end of the game, and they did, and UConn won.
Yeah, you were playing a freshman quarterback and praying to God he can complete a forward pass. Nebraska 20, Boston College 15 in the Pinstripe Bowl. I mean, okay, BC's offense not really existing in the form of running the football in this one, especially in the first half, and a lot was put on Grayson James here. He had basically an identical first half from a second half. He threw for 300 yards, but he was all they had, and they couldn't run it, and they were having trouble getting off the field defensively. And the final score looks a bit better than how this game actually played out.
Yeah. I mean, if you get Boston College in a situation where they cannot run the ball, it's not a good proposition for this Boston College program. I mean, just that's really the story here is that you try again, and then when you make the whole thing rest on Grayson James's arm, like that's just not a great value proposition. And Nebraska, they have faults as a program, but they're good enough to win this game.
Right. We have a minute 43 seconds, and we have two games that were absolute bangers. Iowa State 42, Miami 41. Congratulations to Cam Ward on setting the Division I touchdown passes record. Also, congrats to Miami on doing their best with their backup quarterback in the game. Not because of injury, but because Cam Ward decided that he did not want to play in the second half.
I'm still very unclear on whose decision it was that Cam Ward wasn't going to play the second half, because I feel like I've heard every version of it.
All it would take is for Mario Cristobal to answer a fucking question. Scott, get the button. Sorry. 9 minutes, 30 seconds.
Dump button.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Good for Iowa State, man. Good for Matt Campbell. First 10-win season in school history?
Is that right? Wow.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Did they get to 11?
I'll verify. Sorry, first 11-win season in school history. I said 10.
There you go. Okay.
East Carolina, 26. NC State, 21. Rajay Harris had a touchdown run late here. NC State had a million different ways to close this game out in the fourth quarter. They just did not do it. Would not do it. Refused to do it. And NC State fired a bunch of assistants after this.
You will never believe this, but a game between East Carolina and NC State got extremely chippy, had multiple brawls, and ended up with an official bleeding from under his eye.
Mm-hmm. Go ACC to that. We'll have the rematch in 9 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to play back-to-back games. How about that?
Let's do it. We'll see you in
There
September.
you go.
Time.
There you go.
5 seconds to spare.
Rhoback Rapid Recap. Brought to you by Rhoback.com. Use promo code GOACC24 for that's the right one? It's been a while.
That's correct.
GOACC20
Whoops,
at checkout.
I said that's correct. Man, that's rough. That's a rough scene for me.
20% off first order, Rhoback.com. All sorts of great polos, activewear, shirts, shorts, pants, hoodies, vests, all sorts of great things. They look great. They feel great. They'll keep you comfortable. Cannot say enough good things about Rhoback.com and all the good things they have there. Go check them out.
Yep, absolutely. I was wearing a Rhoback sweatshirt that my brother-in-law, producer Scott, shout out to him, and my lovely sister bought me for Christmas. Wore it for like 3 straight days. It was so goddamn comfortable. So
I got a lot of run out of the Rhoback quarter zips in Christmas party season. That was a pretty good setup for me. So
yep.
Maybe something to look into for you. Use promo code GOACC20 at checkout. 20% off your first order.
I have a couple. Need to expand my collection. Maybe I'll use promo code.
You should. Highly recommended. All right. Let's recap some bowl games, and then we will come back in a little bit and preview the final 3 bowl games of the ACC's postseason. Do we just want to go chronologically again, kind of in order, or do you want to kind of pick and choose? Let's pick and choose. Let's see kind of what we want to talk about first.
Let's do what we always do. Can we talk about we'll talk about your Yellow Jackets first. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, why not? Vanderbilt 35, Georgia Tech 27 in the Birmingham Bowl. This was a competitive game. Vandy played well. I want to give all credit to Vandy, and anything that I'm going to say here, I don't want to take any credit away from them. I thought that their defense especially played well. I've seen a lot of discourse from Georgia Tech fans saying that Georgia Tech came out flat in this game and they just didn't look prepared. I disagree with that. From what I was seeing, I saw energy. I saw reasonable focus. I just saw Vanderbilt playing well. That's a well-coached defense, especially. It's sometimes you play teams that are pretty good, and it's if you can't move the ball, it's not because you're not ready to play or whatever. I think Vandy was beating Georgia Tech in the trenches, especially, and I don't know how much of that was overpowering versus just being quicker kind of at times. I mean, things like that were happening, but I thought Vandy played reasonably well here. And again, it's a 3-point game, I guess, or a 4-point game at halftime. Georgia Tech comes out, and I think that's the other thing that happened here was Georgia Tech struggled to finish drives. They end up settling for field goals at times where they needed touchdowns. And then you come out in the third quarter, and I think it was a 1-point game at the point that Vanderbilt punts. Georgia Tech has Bailey Stockton back there to return.
Legitimate gripe.
Vanderbilt's gunner spears him. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
There's no question that he got there before the ball did. It's one of the most blatant kick-catch interference penalties you'll ever see. It was kind of shocking to watch, honestly. It's like, what is happening here? And then they don't throw the flag, and the argument, I guess, is, well, he was pushed. And if you look at it, was there some amount of contact between the Tech blocker and this guy? Yes, but it's about kind of like when I put my hand on my son's head to guide him on a crosswalk kind of thing. I'm not actually shoving the guy. I'm just kind of there with him, and he had every opportunity to dodge the returner, and he didn't. He just spears him. No penalty there. So
guiding my kid in a crosswalk. What a great analogy that was.
Your hands on him, but you're not pushing. And so then the ball bounces down to the 2. Tech falls on it. The replay, by the way, also showed that the ball did touch the Vanderbilt return or the gunner, so that if nothing else, you should have had the ball on the 30, and you get it on the 2. I mean, Brent Key gets penalized there, I think. I mean, the whole team lost composure there. You had a drive that then didn't really turn into much, and then pretty quickly Haynes King throws an interception, gives Vandy a short field. They pick up a touchdown, and I mean, before you know it, this has gone from a 1-point game to a 15-point game, and Georgia Tech just was not digging their way out of it.
Yeah.
And so at some point, it's the friggin' Birmingham Bowl. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
like
that's right.
This is not going to ruin your season, whatever. And we said coming in, these are evenly matched teams, and it's another instance of if the referees have 5 or 6 instances in the game where they make highly impactful calls, and every single one of them goes in the favor of one team. It's kind of like if these two teams are pushing a boulder back and forth, trying to get it past the finish line. This is basically the equivalent of kind of tilting the hill, and you're pushing the boulder uphill now instead of getting kind of a fair, and it's not that you can't win, but it makes it tougher. It basically is all I'm saying. So, it's fine. It is what it is. This was, I don't know, clearly like the 4th or 5th refereeing team in the Big Ten or something that, I mean, whatever. It's fine, but
they had it out for the Jackets, those damn Big Ten officials.
Yeah. And do I honestly think that there was some bias here one way or no? Like, why would the Big Ten give a damn about whether the ACC team or the SEC team,
If anything, they'd want to help the ACC team because they hate the SEC so much.
In theory, yeah, I guess, I don't know. It was more just an incompetence thing. And again, I think you saw a Georgia Tech team lose composure in a way that you really haven't seen them do under Brent Key. And I think that was all frustration, directly feeling like they were getting screwed again after kind of dealing with some of the same stuff in the Georgia game. So I don't know, all that stuff. And really, I messaged you and Cam, I think, at one point we were talking about something, and I told him, I can tell you it's not going very well because I'm cooking up a take here that I think losing this game might not be the worst thing for Georgia Tech. It actually might, in a weird roundabout way, be a positive thing, because you want to talk about a team that's going into a year in 2025 where the schedule is there and the quarterback is there, and you've got a lot of the pieces there that you need. This is the kind of game that we talk about it sometimes in some teams in some situations that bowl games, if anything, at this point, kind of feel like they set the tone going into your off season of how are you feeling, and coming out of the final 2 games and feeling whether you did or not, feeling a little bit like you got screwed. That's a good way to go into the offseason with a chip on your shoulder and feeling like you got something to prove. And so if I really want to kind of galaxy brain copium this whole thing, it's maybe this provides them the chip on the shoulder that gives you as good an offseason as you could ask for and helps you maximize 2025. I don't know.
They're going to be in mid-October next year. Like, I don't know what the schedule looks like. They're going to be in like mid-October, 5-0. Hey, Coach Key, when did did you see this coming in the offseason, fall camp? How'd you the Birmingham Bowl, Brett? The Birmingham Bowl. That's where it all started. I can see that now. In all seriousness, I agree with you. I agree with your point. These bowl games at this point are building blocks into the offseason. I mean, the most important part of non-college football playoff bowl games is the extra practices for the young guys heading into the offseason. Off-season workouts ahead of spring practice and getting things going in the right direction for the following season. That's the most important part of bowl season, is the practices if you're not contending for a national title. And I think what you're seeing with Georgia Tech is a team that this year, I think in a lot of ways came into its own and had a very good year. And whether they won or lost the Birmingham Bowl wasn't going to change the direction or the trajectory of the program heading into 25. It does not matter at all. I understand the frustration from fans about the officiating. I understand the frustration of losing this type of game where it's back and forth. It's a 1-point game and you're right in it, and then you lose composure and it gets away from you quick, and it's just a frustrating game as a fan. It's even more frustrating if you're participating as a player. to kind of see it get away from you like that and feel like in some ways you're getting screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, very good year for Georgia Tech. Like, that's the takeaway here. It was a really good year. And especially with how the Georgia game went.
4.5.
I took the over, and that cashed in October, right? Feeling
Something
good
like
about
that. Yeah. Yep.
Win total was 4.5. You had a chance at 8. Maybe you had a chance at 9 with how the Georgia game went.
Mm-hmm.
Great year. Like, unequivocally a great year. One that gets you a contract extension if you're Brent Key, and he earned one and got it.
Yep.
So this is, don't be too upset about the Birmingham Bowl. I know you're not, but broader fan base, do not be too upset about the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we got a couple comments in here. Will Secor and Dennis mentioned, I mean, number one, Kyle Eford did not play in this game. There were a couple different guys who they came out of the Georgia game. They knew that they had injuries that they needed surgery on, and I think a lot of them it was like, just get the surgery, just get ready for spring practice. Don't worry about the bowl game. This is not the most important thing in the world. So yeah, Kyle Eford not being there, trying to defend Diego Pavia, did not help anything. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then also mentioned there was some elements at play here as well. Of, especially in the second half, there was some rain. It was a mess. And I think if you just look at the box score and you see, Haynes King fumbled twice, it's like, well, yeah, I mean the ball was slick, and there was at least once I think that he reared back to throw and the ball just flew out of his hand, like before he even kind of got to the top of his motion, and so things like that. It is what it is. Don't worry too much about this, as you're saying, Mike. That's my stance. And again, Vandy played well. They moved the ball. They played really well on defense, I thought, and they took advantage of a couple of big moments, and they won the game. And congrats.
And Pavia has an extra year of eligibility, so that'll be a lot of fun in Blacksburg next September. Looking forward to that.
You know what it is we say about eligibility around here.
It's all fake.
Eligibility is fake, Mike. If you want another year of eligibility, you're probably going to get it these days. The NCAA is just walking away saying, you know what? Go for it. You guys think you know the thing to do? Just do it. So
you got to kiss hands and shake what's with the right people. And
yep.
In the building.
That's all I got here.
Shout out to Jackets.
Vanderbilt 35, Georgia Tech 27. I regret to inform you that this losing recap brought to you by Section103.com is the internet's premier place for all things wonderful Georgia Tech apparel. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family. They got hats now. I got a sweet one here that I was wearing all day on Saturday. I was going to wear it backwards here, but it's just going to show off how enormous my head is. But you know what? It fits, damn it, and it looks great. So highly recommend all the things from Section103.com, the official Tech Gold, the official word marks. I was seeing a ton of these sweet new hats on the broadcast every time they show crowd shots of how mad the crowd was. So that was great. Everyone looked great. Go get your stuff, Section103.com. Use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. Shout out to Steven. Appreciate him and the gang, their support for another great season here. They got things for basketball, volleyball, baseball, all sorts of different things, all the different sports as we get into the winter here. Go get it all, Section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order.
Toledo 48, Pitt 46 in 6 overtimes at the GameAbove Sports Bowl. The bowl game that would legitimately never end.
This is one of the dumbest bowl games we've had the entire season.
I watched this game at home when it kicked off. I listened to it in the car on the way to dinner with some buddies. I sat through a dinner, had a couple beers over like an hour and a half, and just before we got the bill, the game went final. This was one of the longest games of bowl season. This was outrageous, and it could have ended a lot sooner.
6 overtimes.
If Pat Narduzzi had the courage, this was ridiculous. A ridiculous game. Ridiculous.
It really was.
Stupid. Very stupid. Pitt couldn't run. Pitt could not throw it. They played two quarterbacks, but 3 different quarterbacks threw a pass here for Pittsburgh. They ran it extremely well. On the flip side, Toledo couldn't run it at all, and all they did was throw it. This was just a very dumb game. Very dumb. Entertaining, but dumb.
Really dumb. Yeah, just to put it in perspective of how long this went on, this game ended and they switched over to, what was it? I don't know, Arkansas, Texas Tech or something. That was like 7 minutes till halftime with like 38 points already on the board or something. I mean, it was, just this went on for way too long. I think setting the tone here, really the perfect example is the first drive of the game. Toledo goes 8 plays, 75 yards, and scores a touchdown. They kick the extra point. Pitt blocks it and runs it back for 2 points. And I mean, that just, again, it set the tone here. Yeah, we did not have any Eli Holstein. We did not have any Nate Yarnell here. So it was kind of the back and forth Julian Duggar, David Lynch show for Pitt. And you're going to notice a trend here, by the way, with a couple of these ACC bowl games getting into their 4th string quarterbacks, basically. Julian Duggar kind of ran the thing, especially in the second half. Very mobile guy. It was run game heavy. Him and Desmond Reed combined for 54 carries and, close to 300 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. I think the biggest things to talk about here, I felt like there were 2 different instances where Pat Narduzzi's coaching decisions, clock management things were really what cost Pitt a chance to win this game. And again, I want to reiterate, we're talking about bowl season. We're talking about the Motor City Bowl, right? Like that's what they're in Detroit. It's the day after Christmas. Yeah, you're playing a MAC team. Who gives a damn? Like it's fine. But like, even though you've already thrown multiple pick sixes and like Toledo is still somehow tied, and you've got the ball basically at midfield with 35 seconds left and timeouts available, and you just ran the ball for 2 yards, let the clock bust all the way down to 1 second, and then throw nothing, or you got sacked, basically. Like, why are we wasting time? Like, go for it. You're close to field goal range. You only need like 15 yards. They're on the broadcast talking about how your kicker wants to set the record for distance in that building on a field goal. Like, you probably just need a first down and you're in range to try it, and they just didn't. Why? I don't know.
With a good kicker, by the way. With a good kicker.
Really good kicker. Like, and kind of part of the reason that you're still in position to win the game at that point, giving up multiple defensive scores that way. But then, as you mentioned, Mike, I mean, you get into overtime, and just to be clear, first overtime, both teams score touchdowns. It's, 37 all. We're going to the second overtime. Pitt holds Toledo to a field goal, and that's the moment where it's like, okay, Pitt's in position to put this game away. Pitt moves the ball. They have 3rd and goal at the 1. They throw a pass. It's basically like line up Gavin Bartholomew in the shotgun, try the jump pass thing. I think he overthrows his receiver by multiple feet. Like, it really wasn't close. And then from the 1 yard line at the end of the second overtime, we send out the field goal kicker from the 1 yard line. And just to be ultra clear with how the rules all work. So in this case, you have one play where you could find a way to win the game from the 1 yard line. If you kick the field goal and you extend the game, you know what you got on the next play?
2-point grab ass.
Yeah, well, it's a one play to win the game from the 3 yard line. And then the other team gets another shot.
Yep.
What is the point? You're at the 1. Just go for it. You're going to have to run 2-point plays. Like you said, it's 2-point grab ass, 2-point palooza, whatever you want to call it. Like, in that why are you kicking a field goal? It's the Motor City Bowl. Who cares? Just end the game. And he wouldn't.
It's the GameAbove.
Pat Narduzzi, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
With your 4th string quarterback in the game, just get it over with. Oh my god, this was like mind-numbingly stupid. You can't make any
It
sense of
just-
this any way.
You can. You can. Let me tell you why. Pat Narduzzi,
Nard
if it was
dog.
up to him, the Nard dog, Andy Bernard, if it was up to him, if it was up to Pat Narduzzi, he would never, ever, ever allow his team to play offense. He wants his defense to win the game. This makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, just this is
Shout out, Rick. Sorry.
yeah. He's right. He's right. I mean, again, we're going to talk about the ACC's bowl game record, and we're also going to talk about bowl games don't matter, and those things are a little bit hard to reconcile. But this is like, to me, this is the one like. You gave up multiple pick sixes, and you had these multiple late game coaching blunders. Like, this is kind of embarrassing. You shouldn't have, even with your fourth string quarterback in the game, you should not have lost this game. And you found new and unique ways to lose. And that's what irritates me.
And Dennis 133, it was Boxing Day, so Pat decided it needed to end with some jabs. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Was it COVID season again? Sorry. Never mind.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh. I mean, these are the types of players that would be playing during COVID season. Everybody would have to opt out.
There
There. I mean, another layup. The thing I hate about the
Tucker
overtime
Gleason
rules.
beating an ACC team, by the way.
I mean, he's good enough to play at NC State. Probably. We'll get to them in a few minutes.
Wasn't good enough to beat out Jeff Sims
the
at Georgia
thing about
Tech,
this
for what that's worth.
the whole thing about
Sorry.
this overtime thing. We needed the Jeff Sims reference. We'll talk about his team in a few minutes. The overtime rules were designed to shorten the game. And I guess from a total play count, you can say that games have been shortened, but by God, we're going to 6 and 7 overtimes with this 2-point rule. That's a lot of luck involved. I hate it. I hate it
so much.
It shouldn't be after the third or the second overtime. It should start with like the fifth overtime.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why. I mean, I was at the damn game that caused the rule to change again. So
You and I both. We were high-fiving and hugging together there in the stands. The game was ridiculous.
yeah.
This is really North Carolina and Virginia Tech's fault. Go ACC.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, originally this was LSU and Texas A&M's fault, which I don't fault them for anything. That was an awesome game. I would watch that again in a heartbeat. Like, why are we trying to limit the drama here? That was awesome.
Joey, have some courtesy. Player safety, okay? Have some courtesy.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
You could argue that
Evan
those
Sandage-
condensed 2-point plays are more dangerous because there's less field to play with. But who am I
Yeah.
to say?
A lot less space with the same number of bodies, right?
Yeah.
Evan Sandage made a really good point here, by the way, is that Pitt was one Kyle McCord meltdown away from going 6-0 to 6-7, which reminds us to make the point that Pitt, as mentioned, went 7-0 to start the year, finished with a 6-game losing streak.
Is that good?
And it's not great. And again, this was your opportunity, and they talked about it on the broadcast, like a good amount, was like Pitt trying to break the losing streak going into the offseason, and like you screwed around to the max in losing this game. And that's hard if you're a Pitt fan going into the offseason, is, you're on a 6-game losing streak. Like,
All right. Next.
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Toledo 48, Pitt 46, and 6 OTs.
Unbelievable, Pat.
Great.
Syracuse 52, Washington State 35. This was the
The only win
DirecTV
so far.
Holiday Bowl. This was so much fun. This was so much fun. Just like you had the early game with all the Birmingham Bowl craziness. It felt good to cleanse your palate with just a scoring fest with like an interim coach and a good ACC team and Kyle McCord playing against like warm bodies on defense. This was a cleanse your palate thing. And
this was a little bit of a 7-on-7 game. It felt like
it was. The first half was very little defense, and the second half was better. Adjustments were made at halftime by both teams, but yeah, this was a little crazy back and forth. The first quarter was insane. There were 35 points scored in the first quarter, back and forth. Washington State scored first, and Syracuse was up and down the field. It was kind of like it felt pretty quickly like a name your score game for Syracuse, though. Even with like Washington State scoring early, it was pretty apparent that Syracuse's defense, out of the two, Syracuse's defense was the one that was going to get stops, which makes sense because Washington State's quarterback just transferred. They're a backup quarterback, so made a lot of sense. But yeah, it felt like this was Syracuse's game to lose the entire way, even when they fell behind early.
Yep. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of notes here. I mean, this was a fun game. It felt like 7-on-7. Kyle McCord looked really, really good here. And we've talked about this year that there are times where he's on and he is on, man. I mean, it was big play after big play in the passing game, especially. He had completions of 30+ yards to 4 different receivers. This was one of those where I feel like the pendulum has swung back a little bit as it relates to effort in bowl games, that like some of these players, like they're not just totally mailing it in, and Syracuse looked like they were out there, motivated, wanted to make sure that they got the win here. Kind of like we said in the preview that Fran Brown was going to have them motivated, and he sure did. And they look good. Syracuse 10-3. It's a hell of a first year under Fran Brown.
I saw some
And
chatter
just,
that sorry.
Go ahead.
I saw some chatter that
No, you're good.
McCord might try to get a waiver to come back, which again, eligibility is fake, but like, okay.
If that happens, good team.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
I mean, if you're going to be seeing 26-year-old Diego Pavia in the
Is he
Labor
that
Day
old?
weekend next year.
I didn't know he was.
Yeah.
that
He's been in
old.
college a long ass time.
Is he
yeah, it's been-
well, as long as Cam Rising.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
He's 23. He'll be 24 next year.
Yeah, he'll turn
Pavia.
24 like at the end of spring practice, basically. Yeah.
McCord became the ACC single-season passing leader, breaking Deshaun Watson's passing yards record set about 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
it was a very good year for McCord.
Very, very good.
Yep.
Nothing else here. Really good showing for Syracuse. Cannot reiterate that enough. And again, they have got the only win. They're the only team taking showers coming out of bowl season right now. So
We have 2 more games of consequence and 2 games that look closer than what they actually were. Than they were.
yeah.
Let's get the fun one out of the way first. Iowa State 42, and it brings me absolutely no pleasure to report Miami 41. This was really funny. This was really funny.
Yeah.
So Miami here, Cam Ward starts the game. He throws 3 first-half touchdown passes and breaks the Division I passing touchdowns record that was previously held by former Houston quarterback Case Keenum. Shout out Case Keenum. He's definitely listening to this podcast. Cam Ward breaks that record. At halftime, he comes out of the game and does not return. Not injury-related, just hanging it up. Now, as a lot of people have pointed out, this happens a lot in bowl games where guys will go out, play a couple quarters, they'll leave, and backups will play, young guys will play, whatever. This happens a lot, especially with how bowl games have gone recently. With how this bowl season has gone in general, I'm not talking like ACC record-wise, I'm just talking like the bowl games have been entertaining this bowl season. And it does feel like the pendulum has swung the other way a little bit. We're seeing more guys, I think, this bowl season than the ones that we've seen recently players who have gone in, have no reason to really play. They're important players to their team. They've played anyway, and it's been significant. Like it's made
Not
a
for
difference.
Colorado.
Not for Colorado, but they tried. They tried.
Eh.
Shout out Alma Bowl.
Shout out Brian Van Gorder.
Shout out to Jesus. Shout out to Brian
You
Van
tried.
Gorder. But it was weird to see Cam Ward go in, break the passing touchdown record, come out of the game, and then to have people in the media both shredding him but then defending him. The people defending him saying, well, this decision was probably made weeks ago, which I don't necessarily disagree with, that they were probably like, all right, look, go in, break the passing touchdowns record, come out. I agree that that's probably a conversation that took place. What I don't understand is why Mario Cristobal, after the game, doesn't just come out and say that. He says, oh, we keep the conversations private, and I'm not going to have Cam answer that. I don't want to put him in a bad spot. Okay, so whose decision was it to sit out? And why didn't you come back in the game? And I get it. It's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We're sacrificing a Pop-Tart at the end as part of the post-game celebration. I get it's not that big of a deal. But Miami
Huge
blew a
deal.
lead
Come
here.
on.
But Miami blew a lead here and lost the game. And Emory Williams at quarterback could not do anything in the second half, really, throwing the football in comparison to what Cam Ward was doing. And if Cam Ward plays this entire game, Miami probably wins the Pop-Tarts Bowl with how the game went in the first half. I mean, it was back and forth, but he was playing well. You certainly have a much better chance of winning this football game if Cam Ward plays the entirety, right? I mean, that is inarguable.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand. I don't really get this, right? I'm confused by it. I'm perplexed by it. Cam Ward just being like okay with sitting out is weird. Like this whole thing is just very odd to me. And the thing that made me most angry was that Mario Cristobal after the game was like, I'm good. I'm not going to really answer any questions. I'm going to keep playing coy. Putting his quarterback, which I get it's Ward's last game, he's going to pros, whatever, but you put him in this really weird spot now where, no, it's not going to affect him in the NFL draft. People are saying that have lost their mind. It's not going to affect anything in regard to that, in my opinion. I don't think the scouts really care. But
I was going to say,
I don't understand from an optics standpoint. You're making him look really bad by not answering the question. If this was a decision,
everyone
made weeks
looks
ago,
worse.
Why didn't you just say that? Why didn't you just say that? It makes it look worse. Agreed.
Everybody looks. Mario looks worse. Cam looks worse. The whole operation looks worse because you won't give any clarity into what happened there. And it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is like, was this Mario? I've seen a lot of conflicting dialogue on like, was this Mario's call? Was it Cam's call? Was it this joint thing? I don't really know. And you pull them out of the game when you're winning, and then you lose, and it all just looks very, very odd. And I mean, people have made the point again, like, would we have been blaming anyone if Cam had just opted out 3 weeks ago and said, I'm not playing the bowl game? Nobody would have blinked an eye at that, right? Like, he's going to be probably a top 10 pick in the draft. You don't need to play in a postseason bowl game to do that. Now, this is the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I just want to be very, like, this is one of our sports monuments, okay? And it's an important game, but Cam's got big things in his future. So I understand, if he wanted to avoid any risk from potentially, appearing in said Pop-Tarts Bowl. But, it clearly the game turned and it changed in the second half when it was the Emory Williams show, and that became a very one-dimensional Miami offense. And that's something that we got to, reckon with and figure out going into next year. But
he stinks.
I would be a little bit surprised.
I mean, he's not very good. I mean, find yourself another Cam Ward if you can. He's not very good. I think we got that answer.
I'm laughing at producer Scott's reaction.
If Cristobal was searching for quarterback answers in the bowl game, I think you found the one that you shouldn't pick as your QB1 next year. He stinks. So
Stunk.
There it is. Found the sound.
Not great.
He's awful. Yeah, he was awful. So find somebody different.
Yeah. I just want to put it in here that Miami fumbles in the first play of the game, And from there, the drive chart for these two teams was touchdown, 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 touchdown. And it was 28-28 with about 10 minutes left until halftime. And that's about the point that everyone's tweeting out stuff about picking the wrong day to stop huffing glue or whatever it was. I mean, just, this game was bonkers and then got completely under control after that. So you saw live totals that were like in the hundreds at some point, right?
Yeah. We were in the second quarter. There was a live game total at one point that was 103.5.
Mm-hmm.
This game opened at 61. What did we say, Scott? 61,
61 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they got there by halftime.
We got there by halftime, and we were almost doubling it with the live total at one point. So we were we were moving in that direction quickly. That was crazy. And then if Cam Ward was still in the game in the second half, then that probably would have cruised over. But then he decided to sit out in the second half because he made his bed with the Mafia, apparently, and he had the live game total under, and he sat that out. But yeah, if you were hammering the live under, you were probably buying a yacht today, because my God, that ended up cruising under. So
it got way out of control. Yeah.
Just not to hammer this into the ground, Joey, but Emory Williams had almost as many passing attempts as he had yards. He was 5 of 14 for 26 yards and an interception. For the love of God, Miami, if you want to be a serious contender in the ACC next year, do not have this guy be your starting quarterback. Like, be so serious.
Why do I feel like you could have put Xavier Restrepo back there behind center and he might have had a better passing line than that? Like,
he didn't play, right?
He played one half fewer than Cam Ward. Yes, that's correct.
It's pretty rough. Oh yeah, Xavier. Yeah, of course. That's why it wouldn't have worked, because he didn't play in this game. Restrepo didn't. Anyways, two things, and then I'm done here. First one, Miami now 1-12 in their last 13 bowl games. So as we said on the preview, if you want to bet on Miami to win a bowl game, at your own risk, buddy, because that has not gone well for a long time now.
Scott, it's the college version of betting on the Lions on Thanksgiving.
It's not that bad. The Lions are a little bit better than that, but yeah.
Slightly.
Man, I don't even know what their ceiling is next year. If that's what their ceiling was with a Heisman potential quarterback,
it just further solidifies the fact that the statement we were making all season on this podcast. They're a quarterback away, either direction, from being a 10-plus win team or a fringe bowl team. Like, the quarterback makes all the difference. Cam Ward is like the one player in college football where if you take him off the roster, it probably makes a difference of like 3 or 4 wins this year, right? I mean, think about all the times they had to come back in the second half of games. But yeah, maybe I might be conservative. You're right. I might be conservative with that. But like, think of all the games this year where he had to pull him out. Yes. Defense was terrible, and the running game was. They had dudes at running back, but it was kind of like this. So they just relied on Ward. How many times did he pull him out of the fire in the second half of games?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go down the schedule.
We'll get to that with Cam later. Hey, Cam.
Yeah.
Hey, Cam. Other thing I want to mention here, we've kind of alluded to it a little bit. Can I just take a second and acknowledge that the Pop-Tarts Bowl understands the assignment, and this is the most like over-the-top, fever dream, ridiculously
outrageous,
like nonsense, entertaining football game of the year. Like,
just
the
so
number
dumb.
of national writers that I have seen post screenshots of like text threads with their wives, and their wives are like begging for mercy, like, stop it with the Pop-Tarts content, because I don't need to see a resurrected Pop-Tart and then a Pop-Tart like stripping and then a Pop-Tart being sacrificed. It's like everything is just like completely like unbelievably over the top. They understand the assignment. This is the most entertaining football game of the year, somehow, some way, every year.
A master class in marketing. You have the Pop-Tart who's messing with the back judge right in the end zone. You had that happening too. Just
they let the Pop-Tart flip the coin to start the game. Like,
it's It's outrageous. You had you had the Pop-Tarts celebrating the game-clinching interception or the turnover on downs, whatever it was at the very end. Iowa State's entire defense is celebrating, and the brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart is dancing with dancing with the team. I'm like,
Fever dream.
What is happening here? You take acid and watch it and not get as tripped out.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
On that note,
God.
Iowa State 42, Miami 41. Thanks for keeping it moving, Scott. We've still got games to preview. Damn. All right.
Quick.
Nebraska.
East Carolina 26, NC State 21.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say here is that NC State could have closed this out like 15 different times in the fourth quarter, and they just refused to do so. So East Carolina just kept running the ball till the dam broke. And Rajay Harris, their very, very good running back, broke one late to give ECU the late lead. CJ Bailey, his numbers look okay, but he was not fantastic in the first half. If you watch this game, not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And NC State was struggling to move it on offense. They moved on from Robert and I after this game, so he's gone. They're now hiring 2 new coordinators for Dave Doran, which I think is probably pretty telling about what Dave Doran's job security is heading into 25, which is interesting. He just made 2 major coordinator changes that he was probably not anticipating making. So the defensive coordinator one, obviously you lose Gibson, right? But offensive coordinator, you have to make a change. So now you're replacing 2 coordinators, and you haven't really gotten offense right in the last few years. You haven't been able to get quarterback right. You were calling for Dave Doran's head 5 or 6 years ago, and you're right. You may not have been wrong just early. Yeah. Had a whole podcast dedicated to it, and then he went out and won like 9 games, like 3 consecutive seasons or whatever it was.
In my face. This was a few different varieties. Yeah, this was a few different varieties of kind of ugly for NC State. And I mean, I think the absolute worst part of it is you're up 21-20 with like under 2 minutes to go. You need one stop and the game's over. And Rajay Harris, 86 yards to the house in your eye hole. I mean, ouch. I don't know. Just, there was a lot here. Like, it really does not feel like East Carolina should be good enough to do that to you. But as we mentioned, I mean, this is a rivalry, whether NC State would admit it or not. And I feel like this might be kind of like on edge of, they're not a rival, but as we said, East Carolina kind of halfway exists just to antagonize NC State, and boy did they. And you saw some end game kind of violence here, basically some brawls and
yeah,
it was an ugly scene. Yeah. And again, as you mentioned earlier, these 2 teams going to start the year together next year as well. So I don't know, man. This is not a good scene for NC State on multiple levels. Not a good way to end the year. Again, you talk about setting the tone for your offseason. You're in kind of a precarious place for NC State, and this is where it really. I was getting creative 5 years ago, saying I would be calling for Dave Doran's job. I was just trying to kind of prognosticate what would come next. I ended up being right that first year and then wrong after that, but. This has been one of the most concerning years, I think, of his tenure. Like, you can't really call, a bunch of like injury luck or any there's no like major factors here. This is just like starting to become a little bit of a deficient roster at times, and they're just there's a lack of the edge that they used to have. So I don't know. Yeah, going to be an important offseason for NC State in that program.
They were, what was their win total? Like 8.5?
Maybe 7.5. Either way, they didn't get to it.
Not even really close. So
Grayson McCall did not pan out at all. Casey Concepcion gone. He's going to Texas A&M, by the way. That news came out.
Not great.
We'll see.
Not great.
By the and I'll just throw this in here and then we can be done. That whole kind of getting tired of the way college football is going and might just like leave. I might put Dave Dorn on that list for a candidate to just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Might put Pat Narduzzi on that list. There's a couple of other ACC coaches that kind of long time standing folks that I could see just I don't need this anymore and walking away. That's on the table.
Your friend Jim Mora is ready to rock up at UConn. Did you see his comments today?
My guy.
He was talking about your guy,
I did
Jim
not.
Mora. He said,
he was threatening people coming after their players, trying to get them into the portal. Yeah. Real threatening
he's
words
ready,
there, Jim.
He's ready to go. Ready to go. I mean, fresh off a new contract at UConn.
Portal. We're talking about portal. Chip off the old block. ECU 26, NC State 21 in the Military Bowl.
Two games I don't have a lot from here. UConn 27, North Carolina 14. These were two games that kind of the scores were similar. The games went similar, but for kind of two different reasons. So it was UConn 27, North Carolina 14, Nebraska 20, Boston College 15. Two stories here. North Carolina, like I mentioned in the Rapid React, like they could not field a roster here really at all. I mean, just not competitive offensively. A joke of an offense in the first half. It just wasn't good. You mentioned Jacoby Criswell had to leave the game. Not great. Michael Merdinger.
Like the second drive or something.
Michael Merdinger, a true freshman from Fort Lauderdale.
What's that
First
name?
Israeli-born quarterback to take snaps in the FBS. I saw like
Mazel tov.
I don't know. Mazel tov, Happy Hanukkah. I don't
Happy
know if this was
Hanukkah,
like this year or if this was like a specific time period. But Merdinger was under center, and it went how you would expect it would go for a true freshman who was a backup coming into this game. And couldn't really run it well. It was just a mess on offense. And then UConn just did what they've done all year. They ran it well, low turnovers, took care of business in the passing game, played good defense. This is, if you've watched any UConn this year, I've watched some because I'm sick. I'm sick in the head. This is what they've been doing to teams all year.
I don't care. I'm a sicko.
Hey. We have another one, too.
Locking up UConn. Yeah, I'm locking
Yeah,
up
I was gonna
UConn.
There it is. I think this game was kind of the light version of what I said about BYU Colorado, which was later in the day. My analysis of BYU Colorado was Colorado showed up trying to play the Pro Bowl. BYU showed up trying to play the AFC Championship game, i.e. Colorado was just trying to, casually throw it around and, score some points and whatever. And BYU showed up ready to punch them in the mouth and, play a football game. UConn showed up ready to play a football game. UNC was just like, I don't know. And yeah, they kind of got the scoreboard doesn't show, but they kind of got steamrolled here. So,
Joey,
if you're a UNC player,
they looked like a team coached by Freddie Kitchens.
that's not a compliment. If you're a UNC player who was using this game to try out for Bill Belichick, it probably didn't go very well. I don't know that almost anybody. Yeah, I don't know that almost anybody from UNC looked good here. So, yeah, tough scene. But again, we said this was going to happen. UConn fired up to play in the Fenway Bowl. UNC was not, and that's what happened.
Belichick didn't attend. I think it's because he knew it was about to happen.
If you played in the Fenway Bowl, you're probably not on the team next year.
Yeah, he does not care.
Go full Dion, just turn over the whole roster. Why not?
Flip over to Boston College, Nebraska. BC could not freaking run the football here. Could not run it. Could not run it, which has been an issue a lot this year. But they could not run the football here at all.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, tough scene. truthfully, I barely got to watch this game. Very weirdly, so this game was on ABC. We had like tornado warnings kind of on the outskirts of town here, and so like the local ABC station was doing that and had this in like a small picture-in-picture thing, and so like basically didn't even bother trying to figure out what would happen. So I'm just going to be really honest that I did not really get to see almost any of this game, but I think Nebraska does have the ability to like kind of bully teams, and I mean, you saw them bully Colorado early in the year, and like, you know, if you can't run the ball when you're Boston College, that's again putting the whole thing on Grayson James is not a great value prop, and it really wasn't here. And I mean, Boston College had 2 points through 3 quarters, so that wasn't on offense.
Allow me to read the Boston College drive chart to you, just to catch you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can do the first half one because this is when it was 13-2. He'll be humorous.
Yeah, this feels
Ready?
telling.
Missed field goal. Downs.
Tough scene.
Yeah.
Props to Bill O'Brien for like going for it on 4th downs.
Want to hear the second half drive chart?
Sure.
Punt, fumble, downs, touchdown.
So it's 20-2 with 10 minutes left, and then Boston College starts trying to mount a comeback, and it involved a 2-yard touchdown drive following a blocked punt. So that's what it took to make this a 1-score game, basically. So
That's correct.
yeah, yikes. Nebraska 20, Boston College 15. I don't blame Boston. This is not an embarrassing loss for Boston College. It's fine. Nebraska's, I think, a reasonably solid program to lose to for Boston College in this bowl game.
Hey, but you know one good thing?
What's
Hooters
that?
pick of the week. Cashed again.
That's right.
I know when that hotline bling.
Under 44 and a half.
Heater.
Play a sound.
Nailed it.
On a heater.
Cleared it by almost 10 points.
I mean, it was looking really good until Boston College added those like 2 late scores. It was like 20-2 or something.
Mm-hmm. The ACC is 1-9. Depending on who you ask, they're either 1-7 or 1-9 through bowl games so far. I choose to not count the 2 playoff games as bowl games. There's just nothing about those first round matchups that qualify as a bowl game in my mind. If you just want to call it a 1-9 postseason record, fine.
Postseason, yeah.
Yeah, then fine. But yeah, it's not been great. And I mean, a couple of these, it's fine, and you can kind of understand how and why, but a couple of them have been kind of rough looks for the ACC team. So not really been a postseason to write home about for the conference so far.
I mean, it's 1-9, but like NC State lost by 5, Miami lost by a point and played their backup the whole second half. Georgia Tech lost by 8. Pitt
Narduzzi's
could have
afraid.
easily won their game. Yeah, like again, a lot of opt-outs. I mean,
Pitt
also it does not
and
matter.
North Carolina on like way down the depth chart quarterback situations.
People
for sure.
like making this into I'm seeing tweets like, "Oh my god, worst postseason on." I don't care. Like, this is not like playing a bowl game in '97 or something. It's way different now. Like, you don't have your full roster. If you're not playing for a national title, like if you're not in the bracket, a lot of kids just, if they got pro aspirations, they don't care. They don't play. They opt out. You're on your 3rd and 4th quarterback. You're on interim coaching staffs in some cases here. Just how much of this really matters? Now, are there a couple of tough looks? Yeah, there are, right? Like SMU looking as bad as they did against Penn State. Not ideal. That's the one big one because like Cal had quarterback opt-outs. Georgia Tech played a competitive game. Miami played a competitive game, but we just spent half of that recap talking about Cam Ward not playing the entire second half voluntarily. UNC could barely field a roster. Boston College, they fielded their roster, could not, that was a rough look with how that game, 20-2 with 10 minutes left. Just looking non-competitive for the entirety is not great. NC State blowing the lead, not great. Like,
Right.
okay, we can have a conversation about a few of them.
Yep.
But whatever.
You think we're gonna turn the tide with these last 3 games?
Yeah, we can do
Go
these
2-1. There you go. All right, 3 more. Here. Oh, no.
No.
This does not count against the ACC's bowl record. Okay, like
It does not account
Arkansas
against
State
my win total mark either, which is really important.
That's right.
To note.
Arkansas State 38, Bowling Green 31. I think I watched this game. I kind of can't even remember what happened here.
It was a Friday night game, right?
No, it was
what-
on the 26th.
What day of the week? What day of the week is it now? I don't
Oh,
even
it was
know.
day. It was day after Christmas. Thursday night
was
game.
right
I wasn't
after-
I wasn't that far off.
It was right after the world famous GameAbove Sports Bowl. It was a 3-point game at halftime.
You could
What-
just say you didn't watch it, and we're just obligated to say.
I was kind
did
of
not
following
watch
it. Maybe on my phone. Is it? Yeah, no, I got nothing here.
I stopped
covered-
paying attention to Bowling Green once the win total hit.
They covered Harold Fannin. He still got 17 catches for 213 yards and a touchdown, and Arkansas State won anyways.
He could play wherever he wanted, but chose to play at Bowling Green. So
I sense
He
that he's
declared
not
for the
going to get to
draft.
choose where he plays next year.
yeah, he
He
will
declared
be.
for the draft.
He will be drafted. Yes, he will be drafted. That's
Yeah,
correct.
he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
All right,
Just fine.
3 games left.
3 games left. Last 3 games to preview all year until we do in-depth previews of the spring football games, which, keep it tuned here. Those will surely be coming your way. Let's start tomorrow.
Can we bet on those?
It is. If you go to the right place, call the hotline.
I mean, if,
Uh,
if you're betting on the ACC teams in these bowl games, you might need to start
I
betting on
know when
spring
that
ball.
hotline bling.
Got to make up the money somewhere.
I really like to envision an alternate existence
drop,
where the
Scott.
hotline actually takes bets. That would be something. Anyways, 2:00 on CBS tomorrow, December the 31st, New Year's Eve. The Tony the
Deal.
Tiger Sun Bowl. The Louisville Cardinals taking on the Washington Huskies. Louisville a 1-point favorite. Total's 49.5. Vegas saying low scoring. Who the hell knows? Give me Louisville. Is Tyler Shuck playing here? I don't know that he
I was
is.
about to ask you, is Shuck playing?
If he's not, then give me Washington. Let me look this up right quick because that's
Nope.
basically
Sitting out.
He's not okay.
All right. give me
He's
Washington.
sitting out, and then give me Washington, and then the who is it? Was it Colin Lacey, the receiver that like opted out in October or something for Louisville? I saw something. I think he's playing in this game. So like he opted out of the second half of the season, but then is coming back for the bowl game because it doesn't count against eligibility. Like I don't know what we're doing anymore. With,
Okay.
Again, eligibility is
Washington.
fake. Who cares?
Washington's a pick. 1 in
Washington.
10. 1 in 10 in the postseason. Goes the ACC.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Washington.
What are we doing picking ACC teams at this point with how the rest of bowl season has gone? Yeah, Washington.
Oh, you want to get nuts? Hey Scott, you got that sound?
Oh no.
All right, want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts.
Are you about to ask for another sound?
Yeah, I am. Washington, lock it up.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock
Sick
it up.
bastard.
Lock it up.
That's putting it nicely.
There's a third sound for that.
Something in a Masiko? Where is it? Oh. It's here somewhere.
He's got
We've
too
it.
many. There's too
I'll
many
find
to
it.
choose from.
It's probably on
I wasn't
repeat
paying
right now.
attention. I was looking up the Colin Lacey info.
Oh, sorry.
Where is it? I think it's gone.
He announced he was coming back to Louisville in 2025, so that's why he's playing the bowl game.
All right.
Oh, okay. All right. Whatever.
Just
That's so
didn't
weird.
play the final 6 games of the regular season, but yeah. All right.
I'm coming
Whatever.
back. Yeah, Braun probably feels good about penciling him in on the depth chart next year, huh?
Yeah, Washington for sure.
Yeah, a guy you can rely on.
I'm not locking anything up here, but because by the way, Tyler Shuck not playing, so that would go to the backup Pierce Clarkson. By the way, he's transferring, so I don't even pretend to know who Louisville's third string quarterback is here. So
And
We'll
how are
see
they
tomorrow.
favored? I guess
Could be you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It could
You're in
be.
the El Paso area. You can throw the ball 25 yards. Could be you.
This is like the only bowl game on CBS.
It is. That's right. Washington and give me the under. Give me the under. This will be ugly. I don't know. There's probably some weather here too. Who knows? Sometimes the Sun Bowl you get like snow games and stuff. So who the hell knows? Anyways, that's all I got here. Anything else?
Love El Paso. Next.
Do you? You been?
Nope. Nope, have not.
Oh. I've been a few times. Story for a different day. Thursday, January the 2nd. This is 7:30 on ESPN is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. The Duke Blue Devils taking on the number 14 Ole Miss Rebels in how the hell did this matchup happen? Bowl game of the year. Ole Miss is a 17-point favorite here. Totals 51.5. Look, it would be objectively hysterical if Duke were to win this game with all the trash and all the mess that Lane Kiffin has been talking on Twitter the last few weeks. Malik Murphy's transferring. I don't see it. So yeah, I don't even see Duke keeping this close. I think Ole Miss is going to make it a point to run it up. Not because they got anything against Duke or Manny Diaz or anything else, but just like to make sure that they can't be made fun of here. So yeah, give me Ole Miss. I'll lay them.
Yeah, lay 'em.
Maybe the over. No.
Yeah.
No, it's a
a lot of points, Joey.
Yeah, Ole Miss pass on the total. Because it might be Ole Miss having to do almost all of that themselves, and I could see 45-7, which goes over by half a point. I could see 38-0, which goes under. So,
yep.
I don't have any analysis on this.
None. Next.
January 3rd, 7:30 on ESPN. It's a Friday night. Duke's Mayo Bowl. This is the last game of the year we got a preview, Mike, and it is your Hokies taking on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota's a 7.5-point favorite. Totals 42.5. I think this is Colin Schlee for Virginia Tech. Is that right?
Pop Watson.
It's Pop Watson again. Okay, so no. All right. Anyways, go ahead.
The most important thing to note about this game is that Scott and I will be in attendance.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go.
So cloudy with a chance of hammered.
Not a chance.
High chance.
High chance. High probability.
Guaranteed.
97% chance of hammered.
It's a night game too. You got all day.
We got all day. The hotel is
no.
within walking distance of the stadium. We are meeting up with one Andrew Alex before the game and sitting with him in the stands. We are drinking. We are drinking at his apartment before the game. This has all the makings of just not going well for me on Saturday morning.
So live recap after the show? After the game?
Not good. Not good for me. Virginia Tech does not have Kyron Drones in this game healthy. He was taking some snaps at practice with a brace, but he's running with the twos. He's not going to play. Bayshell Tutin's not playing. Three of Virginia Tech's best 5 offensive linemen off a really bad offensive line have transferred. A lot of Virginia Tech defensive players are not playing or have transferred, like Mansour Delane, their star defensive back. Antoine Powell-Ryland, star pass rusher, getting ready for the draft. Dorian Strong getting ready for the draft. Keontae Jenkins not playing. Mose Phillips, starting safety, not playing. Jalen Jones, he's hurt, not playing. Lamb with Minnesota. Darius Taylor is playing for the Golden Gophers. Really good running back. So I think we're going to Lamb with Minnesota.
We got a producer's pick of the week.
Over 42.5.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm going to be there cheering for points. Show my work. My work is that is about double the amount of beers I'll probably consume that day. No, I
Not if you
think
stop there.
I think if Minnesota is they can put up some points on this lackluster thin defense. So, but Bud Foster apparently is helping out coach the defense some way, somehow.
I saw that
for the bowl game. Let that man retire. So I think it's going over. Because I think if you get like, I think the Hokies probably could get 2 touchdowns. That's 14, and yeah, like 30-14. That puts you over.
It's fair. It's a really low total for a bowl game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota's going to try to run it about 60 times in this game, and the question is Virginia Tech up to stop it that many times? And
Yeah.
I think if your answer is no, that's a fair answer. So yeah, we'll see. Lay 'em with Minnesota. This is a skeleton crew for Virginia Tech here. That in most, like, if this were November 1st they were playing this game, I'd probably take the points with the Hokies, and I would probably take the under. But I think just knowing kind of where they're at roster wise and such, no. PJ Fleck is going to have Minnesota fired up to play whatever game they go play. So, lay 'em with the Gophers.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all I got.
It's good.
Anything else?
10-minute previews.
ACC bowl games.
Nope. What's the
Gotta do a
final
count
record
of how
for the
many-
ACC? What's the final record? 1-10?
In these bowl games, not including the playoff, man, it's hard to think that they won't get. I don't know. Are they really going to go 1-10?
Yep.
Like, really?
Good.
Not going to get one of these final 3? I'm going to get 2-9. They get one of these. Either the Hokies or Louisville's going to win, or Duke's going to do the funniest thing possible. I don't know.
I'm rooting for Duke in a way.
Mm-hmm.
If there has to be one, the Duke one would be funniest.
It would be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-9. Over 1/2 win in these final 3 games for the ACC.
Better you than me.
Yeah, fair enough. You got playoff picks, Mike?
Do I have playoff picks? Yeah, I do.
Penn State, Boise State.
I think tomorrow night, or tonight if you're listening to this on Tuesday, Boise's going to have a really hard time here, I think. It comes to a point in time where you have to be able to throw the football, and I think this is the time where if you're Boise, you have to be able to throw it. Worried about Boise's defense against Penn State's offense here. Think Penn State wins rather comfortably.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
they're on to
I'm not
semi.
sure. Kind of feel like Boise State has one way to beat you, and you need more. You need more than one pitch going against Penn State here, and it's kind of on both sides of the ball. And so, yeah, I like Penn State there.
We'll stay in the bottom part of the bracket. Notre Dame, Georgia. I like Notre Dame outright. I got to see it with Gunnar Stockton in a game of this magnitude against this defense. I got to see it. Now, the Riley Mills loss up front for Notre Dame, star defensive tackle, not having him, significant.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Georgia establishes a running game here, this could be problematic for Notre Dame because, again, there comes a time in the playoff where you have to be able to be balanced offensively. Notre Dame has struggled with that this year, like we just talked about with Boise. Notre Dame's a much better version of a balanced offense, but if you find yourself in a game where you have to throw it a bunch with Riley Leonard, that is not a recipe against Georgia's defense that I think you want to contend with. But if Notre Dame can bottle up the Georgia rushing attack enough and make Gunnar Stockton beat them, I think that's obviously the game plan. And if he beats you, you kind of tip your cap. Otherwise, man, are we absolutely sure a freshman is going to go in his Sugar Bowl against this defense and play that well to win the game? Are we really, really banking on that? I'm not. So give me Notre Dame.
Cover 3. I forget if it was the locks today or it might have been the big game breakdown they did, I think on Friday. I think it was Bud. No, it was a split zone duo that was talking about, are we really sure we're going to see Gunnar Stockton this entire game? Or are they going to bring out, what's the third string, the whole transfer palooza guy? Not Jaden Mayava. What's his, whatever. Anyways,
he's
the
another
kid that committed
palooza guy.
Yeah, well, the kid that committed to Florida, and then there was the whole lawsuit thing, and I think he started at Arizona State, and then he transferred to Georgia, whatever. There's some potential QB shenanigans here for Georgia, basically, in this game. I said it when we did the show, basically as soon as the bracket was announced. I said that I thought this is a bad matchup for Georgia, and that was before we knew that Carson Beck wasn't going to be playing. I still feel that way. Give me Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins this game outright. Georgia has been very up and down, has been very inconsistent, kind of on both sides of the ball, and at least relative to their standards. I think Notre Dame, especially, this might be a fire up the ice bath for Riley Leonard kind of game where, buddy, you're going to be feeling it the next day, but they got to have it from him, I think. And if you can get it from Riley Leonard in the run game to complement Jeremiah Love and everything else that they do, I think that they got the goods to give Georgia problems in ways that they have been given problems by teams such as Georgia Tech earlier this year. Like they've got the personnel to do that, and Notre Dame's defense very much good enough to cause Georgia's inconsistent back and forth offense a lot of problems. So I like Notre Dame here.
And I feel this way, by the way, regardless of if it was Stockton or Beck, but I feel even more strongly about this now that it's Stockton and not Beck, right? Like, like Beck's at least got the experience, and yes, will he throw you one? Yeah, he will. Will Stockton? I don't know. Will he be a little more cautious with the football? We'll see. But this is in my opinion, this is Notre Dame's best defense since their '88 title team. This is elite defense.
Kind of all trenches, 3 levels. They're really
all
good.
All 3 levels. And even more so if like Benjamin Morrison and Riley Mills were healthy for this game, and they're not, right? Yeah. So this is a loaded defense that I think can withstand the loss of Riley Mills, but if they don't, I think Georgia wins, but I think they'll figure out the running game enough. So
biggest key you're looking for the first 2 to 3 drives from Notre Dame, I think, is can they get anything in the passing game? If they can get something in the passing game to make Georgia back off the run game, they're in good shape. But we'll see.
Yeah. If that happens, Georgia is in a considerable amount of trouble, I would say.
Yep. Texas, Arizona State in the Peach Bowl.
Texas. Just too much up front, too good in the receiving core, like not trusting Arizona State's defense. Too much Texas.
Kind of the same thing as Boise State. You got to have more than one pitch to beat Texas, and I feel like Arizona State just has Cam Scatterbo, and that's about it.
Yeah, Levitt's been good, but he hasn't been that good, and he hasn't played a defense like this all year. This is not who you want to face.
Yep. And finally, Ohio State, Oregon in the Rose Bowl. My take is if you got a really good sense of who's going to win this game, good luck. Like
coin flip.
Ohio State's favored. Yeah.
They are.
Which I don't get. But I do like that it's a traditional Rose Bowl matchup.
I do too. Aesthetically
nice
pleasing.
The way that worked out.
Aesthetically pleasing. I think if Ohio State plays like they just did against Tennessee, then they are going to win the national championship. If they play like
buzzsaw.
Yeah, which split zone duos that Richard Johnson said, former colleague. Shout RJ. If Ohio State, as he put it, just throws the ball to 4, Jeremiah Smith, if that's the offense they're going to run, and Oregon can't stop it, which they've had issues with their defense this year, if they can't stop that, and that's the recipe, good enough for me. Good enough for me. Give me Ohio State. Otherwise,
Yeah.
this is going to be back and forth, coin flip, which team makes a play, I feel like.
They only won by 1 last time, so.
And Ohio State was driving.
In Eugene.
With a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
And
this is going to be the game of the day for sure, I think, in my mind. I mean, Notre Dame, Georgia could also be the game of the day in a completely twisted backwards way too. But
very different way.
This is very much feels like it could be a who has the ball last kind of situation, as it was when they played in October or whatever that was. Whoever wins this game is going to be favored to win the national title, I think, going into the semifinal. So this is going to be a ridiculous banger of a game that it's kind of crazy we get this in the quarterfinal. I think give me Oregon, not for any good particular reason, but I mean, I could easily see Ohio State winning this game. I do not feel good. This is the one game I feel the least confident in. So, last thing I'll say.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Last thing I was going to say is something
off.
that I texted you what was it, the morning after, was it the 21st or something, was the 3 semifinal games, the first round games, whatever. What odds could I get on the 4 lower seeds all winning these games? And I think we kind of agree. We feel pretty confident that Texas and Penn State will beat their respective opponents. Feel reasonably good calling an upset Notre Dame over Georgia. So really it kind of comes down in my mind to, can Ohio State beat Oregon, which sure they could. And I think we said at the time it was like plus 325 or something. It was a 4-team money line parlay on these 4 games. So just a thought, because each of these individual games, I could completely see the lower seeded team winning. You could easily have a semifinal of the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8, basically, in the first time we were doing this playoff, which would be differently aesthetically pleasing, I guess.
And all 4 of them were, reasonably speaking, like 4 of the top 6 or 7 teams in the sport this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just an argument to reseed.
Scott's in the lab over here.
It is plus 405 on DraftKings right now.
Oh, getting some
We got
value.
value?
All
Yeah.
right.
We're on it.
I mean, the reason why I would consider leaning Oregon in that Oregon-Ohio State game, there are 3 reasons. 1, I think the public is overvaluing Ohio State's win over Tennessee. 2, they're just like conveniently forgetting the Michigan game happened like less than a month ago. They're just like forgetting that happened, that Ohio State is prone to just laying an egg. 2, Oregon's got the best quarterback in that game by a lot. 3,
Yeah,
they got the better coach.
They do.
probably.
I take Lanning over Day.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Not like by a mile for me, but like, yeah, I probably
Hey,
would.
no,
if
it's
you-
close. It's close.
If you flip that, and because Oregon's technically the dog, plus 500. So
Oh,
people out there.
Yeah. Something to consider.
also for everybody who's doing the whole argument of like it's hard to beat the same team twice in 1 year, Oregon just did it with Lanning last year against Washington. So don't forget that.
they also played 2.5 months ago. It's not like they played 2 weeks ago. But whatever.
Agree.
God, I'm looking at it. Okay, so these games are all on the 1st. Well, the Penn State Boise State is New Year's Eve.
Tomorrow.
The other 3 are on the 1st. They're going to play the Orange Bowl on Thursday the 9th and the Cotton Bowl on Friday the 10th. What? Man, we've like
Avoiding the
lost the
NFL.
plot with this sport. Like, I don't know.
Avoiding
what
the
we're
NFL.
doing.
And they were playing the national title on the 20th, like 2 weeks before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What? Anyways, we'll get to that.
Shout out MLK.
That's all I got.
Shout out MLK.
In Atlanta, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Jesus. Let's end this before we all get in trouble.
The 9th's okay. The government just got off because it's rest in peace Jimmy Carter on the 9th. So
Man,
Government
I have
workers.
so many Jimmy
that
Carter
right?
jokes I cannot tell live.
yeah,
Don't you
day of
dare.
mourning.
Can't do it live.
Yeah. No. All right. On that note, that's all I got. Anything else? Does anyone else have anything they want to potentially get us canceled for?
Can I tell one Jimmy Carter joke?
Probably not.
Okay. Oh, I can.
You have
Okay,
Scott's
thanks, Scott.
permission.
He's a producer.
Not
He'll
mine,
just-
but Scott's.
He'll cut it worst case. Our sponsors will like this. It's funny. Is Jimmy Carter more alive today or at the time that he came out like 1 week before the election and they wheeled him out in the wheelchair? He was like looking at the sun.
It's not that bad of a joke. I mean,
Thank you.
they proclaimed him dead like 4 times before. Like,
Thank you.
I was mostly blown away. I saw something yesterday that Jimmy Carter was alive for more Babe Ruth home runs than the current active leader in career home runs in the major leagues has. He was alive for like 429 Babe Ruth home runs, and I think Aaron Judge or someone, whoever in the majors has like Stanton has 427 or something right now.
yeah.
There are some just nonsense facts for a guy who's like 100 years old. It's like he was old enough to see, Babe Ruth hit a home run, and also old enough to see the Hawk Tua meme. Like, imagine that. On that note,
Man. All right.
let's get out of here.
RIP to a real one. Jimmy Carter.
R.I.P. Jimmy Carter, great Georgia Tech alumnus.
Go
People
ACC.
forget.
Go ACC. That's right.
Go ACC.
On that note, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna
The
go
Queen Elizabeth II Memorial You Died Award.
No, not that one. Not that one. We're gonna go watch these last 3 bowl games, come back, recap them, probably talk about some playoff games. I don't know. Content's still coming your way as we roll into the new year. Keep it tuned here. YouTube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not already. We really appreciate that. Hit the bell icon. You'll find out when we're going to go live. We had some great folks in the comments in the chat with us tonight. Really appreciate the folks coming out with us. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, those things. You know where to find us. Visit our sponsors. Use the promo codes. We would really appreciate that. Mike, that's all I got.
Team
Anything
recaps.
else?
We'll start them next week.
We swear
Well,
they're coming.
Well, within the next couple weeks, because we'll have the recap of the bowl games. We'll probably release first.
Yeah.
But next couple weeks,
Right.
Team recaps.
Definitely, for sure. Definitely this time.
Yep.
We'll
do it.
see.
You want to watch these games, come back and recap them?
In person, even for one of them, Scott.
Yeah.
My body will be there, but I don't know about my mind.
Live 1 hour after the Mayo Bowl.
You and me both. You and me both.
Scott and Mike from Andrew Alex's apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Live stream at BC Podcast ACC. Tune in on
Slurring their
socials.
words.
No.
No.
Boo. All right. Anyways, y'all enjoy the games. We'll be back to recap them, and we'll talk to you then. Until then, for Mr. Mike McDaniel, for Mr. Producer Scott, I'm Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. And very, very soon. Happy New Year. Until next time, go ACC.
Thanks, Jimmy.